Okay, everybody, welcome to this video. This will be on dynamics, using dynamics for modeling purposes. The first thing I'm going to show you is using rigid bodies and the shatter effect. And first thing I want you guys to make sure you do is go to Windows, Settings, Preferences. Maybe not there. Windows, Settings, Preferences, Plugin Manager. And make sure you have this bullet.mll loaded. This is super important, so make sure to pause the video, make sure you've got that installed. So once you're sure you've got that installed, what we're going to do is use a couple pre-made effects inside of Maya. So the first thing we're going to do is shatter, and you can use this on any polygonal object. So if you have like a wall or something, you can use this effect in it. First thing you want to do before you use shatter is make sure you delete any history off of your object. It's super important. The shatter won't work unless you've deleted the history. Even if you've just made a new object, you still have to delete the history off of it. And go into shatter under effects. If you can't find it, make sure you just pull down to your effects tab in Maya and then go to effects, shatter, and the options box. And we've got all kinds of stuff in here. So you can do a surface shatter, solid shatter, or crack. I'm going to use a solid. Feel free to experiment with these other things if you want to. Solid's going to break up our object into a bunch of solid pieces. Stuff's straightforward, edge jagginess, seed. Just leave all the rest of this stuff to its default. Let's give it a shot. So we're going to hit create, and it's shattered our object. So what you're going to want to do, depending on what kind of object you've got, is take our original cylinder, take it out of the way, and you're going to see you've got all these nice pieces. And I'm just going to kind of move them around a bit, or maybe even grab them all, and then just hit. Let's see what we're going to do. Here, object. Grab them and randomly move them around. I'm showing you this so you can make piles of rubble. If you wanted to make a destroyed piece of like a wall or a monument or something, you may want to keep some of the pieces in place and then some of the other ones not in place, just so it looks like it's kind of been torn apart or aged or something. So next thing we're going to do is just make a polygonal grid. Scale this bad boy up. Make sure it's underneath all your objects here. And then we're going to select each one of these objects. Just shift click. And under bullet, right here, a couple menus down from the effects menu, bullet active rigid body. We're going to click that. And that is going to make these into an active rigid body. So we're going to go into settings for the bullet solver. It's just in your channel box over here. So you're going to see collider shape type, and right now it says box. We're going to change that to hull. That's going to make our collisions actually happen with each of these pieces. A box will just set a bounding box. And let's increase our time keys here, and we're just going to hit play. And everything falls through our grid. Really useful. So what I forgot to do is you select your grid. Under bullets, you want to make this a passive rigid body, which means it's just not going to move. And we're going to run a simulation again. See what we get. Everything is bouncing out into outer space. Why is that? Oh, maybe lower it down a bit. There we go. I think it's because I have history on this grid. Let me freeze transforms. History, freeze transforms. Yeah, just going to delete this grid and try it again. Up here, grid, take a grid, lower it down. Now I'm just going to freeze its transforms in its history and then create a passive rigid body out of it. Still got my grid up there. I'm not sure why. Let's see what happens. So it's still using the default floor for some reason. You can see that they're colliding with this grid in the wrong spot. Sure why that would be happening. Let's take a look. There we go. So that's fine. We're just basically colliding with the ground plane. So you can see you get this great nice pile of rubble here. And other things you can do, so let's rotate this. I'm not sure if this is going to work with the way this collision is happening. Let's see what happens. Try this again. Not sure why this is happening. So let's create a grid. Rotate it. I'm just gonna make a custom object here. What's gonna happen is we're gonna have a pile of stuff, and you can start shaping your pile with these collision objects. Combine these. Maybe I'll create a different, let me create a passive collider under nCloth and see if that makes a better vision. Do not work at all. Yippee. So I have to use this. Let me look, make sure I've got reset settings. Oh, here it is. So collider shape type hull, axis Y, static body, and we'll hit apply. See if we get a better result. And we've got shit result. Let's see what happened. I think this is too close to our stuff. Let's see what happens. I think it's because it's good I'm making these mistakes, because you guys might run into this stuff too. So when I tried to make that into a an nCloth collider, it just wasn't happy about it. So let's make a better collision than grid. Delete the history off of that. Just one more shot. What? Passive rigid body again. All axis Y auto fit. All the rest of this stuff should be fine. Let's apply that. See what we get. Interesting. See if we can figure out. Let's try mesh. Bam, finally. There we go. So under your collision object, once you've applied your bullet passive rigid body, just click on it, go into your shape options. It's just here in the channel box. Collider shape type, just switch that to mesh. And then you'll get your nice pile of stuff, which is pretty darn cool, because now can do this over and over again, and you've got a nice, great random pile of stuff. And what you can also do is grab all these objects, now that you have a pile of things, and then you can export this to ZBrush and use NanoMesh or any number of cool things that you want to use in ZBrush. So it's pretty simple. It's all under the bullet solver and the effects shader. So give it a shot and see what you can do on your projects. So next we're going to cover some cloth. I know we had some questions in class about that, so we're going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to make a couple different types here. Let's see. Let's make a long flag. This. And this is just how I work, but usually when I do pinning, I'll have an object that I pin to. There's other ways you can do this, but this is the way I'm going to show you because this is what I do. So here's our grid and cylinder, super complicated. It's good. So first things first, this is still under the effects section here. I'm going to go to InCloth and create our InCloth. And when we do that, cloth is just going to fall. And we don't want that to happen. So we're going to grab some of these verts up here, and we're going to pin it to our bar. So I'm going to grab, say, 3 of these, and then grab the surface we want to pin to. So we have under in constraint, we're going to do point to surface. We're going to click that, and then what that's going to do is take this surface and attach it to this surface just at those points. So then when we run our simulation, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's not really moving much right now. So let's add some dynamics in here. Grab our cloth. We're going to go to fields and solvers, and let's just add some turbulence. Really, that's all we have to do. Probably have to crank it up a bit here. Magnitude, we'll just say 50. Still doesn't look like we're getting much movement. Maybe I'm not. Time here. Let's see what's going on. Our end cloth. So we'll just go into the attribute editor for our end cloth and find what's going on. So we have our nucleus, which has a lot of settings in it. So let's just see if we can get some better movement out of this thing. It's moving a little bit. So we'll go to our end cloth shape under dynamic properties, and let's lower our stretch resistance and compensation resistance. Starting to get some more movement. I'm going to increase the time in our timeline here. There we go. Let's view this in shaded mode. Stop. See what we get here. There we go. Much better movement. I think it's because I've got this so low res right now. So what you can do is under your in-cloth object or your original plane here, just go and we'll subdivide this. Just hit add divisions. See what this does for us. There we go. So we're seeing our turbulence in there. It looks really nice. Cool. So this is a great way to make some banners. And what I would typically do is take this, really crank it up, make it so it's got a pretty crazy shape. Let's see what we got here. Getting some nice wind through it. Oh, crazy. There we go. Then I would stop it, get it like this, and then I would export this to ZBrush, and then you can put in some finer detail to it, or you can just use this as it is, depending on where it's at in your scene. Another thing you can do with this that's easy is just hit duplicate. So there's one banner. We'll run our simulation again. That looks good. Duplicate. Running it. Duplicate. Now you've got a bunch of banners that you can then use differently. Really simple, very quick, easy way to get shapes like this instead of just trying to sculpt right off the bat. Another thing you can do is set up collision objects for these to collide around with, which I'll show next. We'll make some kind of tent. So let's make some tent poles here. That'll work. I'm not going to get too crazy complicated with these cloth examples. If you're really into this stuff, you can let me know, because this is not an effects course, but I'm going to show you how you can generate some models pretty fast with this. So here's our end cloth. We're going to grab these two poles, go to our effects menu here, and go to end cloth, create passive collider. So now these are collision objects for our cloth. And then we'll go to end cloth, create end cloth on this piece here. And we're going to let it drop. And increase our time. Just get the starts of a tent. So it's probably a little bit too low res geo, so I'm just going to duplicate it again, or divide it again. Get it really high res. And these simulations are going to be pretty long, like it might take 2 or 3 minutes, but it'll still feel more like cloth than just trying to sculpt it. Let me add some. What can we do here? Pull stretch resistance down. Let's add some friction. See if that gets it to stick to this poles better. A little better. Let's add ground plane in as well. Make this a passive collider. It gets down to the ground. Good with that as well. I need to give this some even more time. Let's crank this up. Center these collision objects as well. And you know what else? Let's create some constraints for these. So I'm going to go into these vertex around these poles and then select them, constraint, point to surface. It should attach those areas. See what we get. It's a better result. Nice. Go on here. Great. So then, I mean, obviously this isn't the best tent in the world, but I'm just illustrating that you can get some defined claw shapes in here. And you can see once I subdivide this. Nice. So that's a few different examples that we can do with cloth. So we've covered cloth, some rubble effects. What else can we talk about here? Talked about shatter. Oh, and I wanted to go over this technique for making ornate pattern objects using group loops. I showed it in class, but I think everybody wanted me to kind of step through it again. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start with just a plane, make it a polymesh 3D. We're going to divide it up to about, we'll just say around 4 million polygons. Cut off. You're going to know if you've got enough resolution when you make your mask. Let me get my tablet here. Whoa. First, 1 second. Alright, brush. Switch to our standard brush. And our mask. This depends entirely on what you want to make. I'm just going to put some symmetry in here. Now I'm going to turn on my floor. I think, yeah. Get my floor out of whack here. There we go. So I think what we're going to do for this is I'm going to demonstrate Chase's windows for his house. Let me just bring up the reference for 1 second here. This will be a good example for everybody. Reference images. Let's bring up Chase's houses. Go. So just so you know what we're making, we're going to give these window patterns a shot with this technique. May deviate a little bit. Should be close enough. So let's see what we can do as far as trying to make these patterns. So looks like patterns are going to cross like this. And this. And like this. Looks like there's another one that kind of looks like this and then joins with that one. Then we have center support here. Looks like we might have some other crossing detail. Just add in another one here. And this up a little bit. This one up a bit. And that works for me. So I'm gonna go with this. So under our edge loops, we have this parameter here called edge loop mask border. So I'm going to click that. It's going to say add multiple subdivisions. You just go up here under geometry tab, lower, and run it again. Take a second, and then we're going to get this. Sometimes this will happen where it's just where my mask got kind of thin. Always undo that and then just go back over, stroke back over this. You can also grow your mask and sharpen it as well, which I can just show you how to do that. That's under masking. We can click sharpen mask, and that's exactly what our group loops did. And I can grow the mask a bit. It's just for these again. Sharpen mask. Yeah, there we go. That works. Enough. So now I'm going to go back over my edge loop mask border, do that again. Now you can see we've got this nice design. So I'm going to hit Control Shift click, and it's going to hide the selection, and then I'm going to hold Control Shift drag, and that's going to invert the selection, and then you're going to get this. What I've got this as a hotkey. You just want to go under Delete Hidden, which Delete Hidden is under, I think, yeah, Modify Topology, Delete Hidden. But you should have a shortcut for that because it's use it all the time. We've got this little piece up here. I'm just going to get rid of that. Do another Delete Hidden, and we're going to go with this. So next step is under Z Remesher. These are just the defaults, and we're just going to keep them that way. I'm just going to hit Z Remesher. This is going to take a second. So you can see we still have a lot of geo, but it's created a lot better topology. So next thing I'm going to do is uncheck Adapt and click half, Z Remesher again, and again, until we get something nice. You can see that's really nice poly loops, low res, and this we can work with in ZModeler. So in ZModeler, I'm going to go to my Z modeling brush, and I'm going to go in. Actually, before that, let's shape this and get back to it. What did I do here? Sometimes it's hard to see these single-sided objects. Like I just lost it. So I'm going to have to go back a couple steps here. Still there. Where are you? Well, I guess I must be having a crash here or something. Because Cannot frame up on this bad boy. Let's switch brushes just to... Something's going on, so I'm just going to have to do this again. I'm just going to do it really fast since you should know that. Weird. Okay, I'm going to have to restart ZBrush because obviously something has gone wacky with it. So let's restart ZBrush and do that again. Give it a shot. Right, let's try this again. Going to grab our plane 3D. I don't have to say what's going on. So here's our plane 3D. Make it a polymesh. Geometry, divide, divide, divide. Get it up to about 4 million. This is fine. I'm going to switch to my matte cap gray and make another design here. So let's start off. Let's try turn on my symmetry. And let's try something these lines. Here, do this opposing arch here. And I'm going to go into my masking, sharpen it up times, maybe shrink it. Looks good. Delete our subdivisions, edge loop mask border, invert fig file is conc out. Load that up. That back, and we're going to delete hidden. This gets us back to a really heavy mesh. Go into Z remesher. Hit that bad boy, give it a second. Good. Unclick adapt, click half, Z remesh, Z remesh, Z remesh. There we go. There's our object. So what I wanted to do is try to shape this into more of the shape of his windows. So I kind of got this round look to it. Here, good enough. And now we're going to go into our Z modeler brush, and under our targets Q mesh, we're going to go, any of these will work, we'll just hit polygroup all, and I'm going to extrude this out. So we'll just say about there. Pretty good. See what that looks like. Subdivided. Works for me. Get on here and polish this a little bit. That's pretty cool. Polish by features. Yeah, that works. It looks really nice. So let's shape this a little bit more. Something like this, and I think these windows are probably angled a bit, so let's maybe do a bit of a bend in them. Something like that. Now, something like that. And if these are too thick, this looks like it might be a little too thick, we're going to use the inflate under deformation and just kind of squeeze it in a bit. That might screw up our geometry a little, so we can always just go back under Z remesher, click same, and this is just going to fix our topology. Yeah, works. Polish this a little bit. Yeah, good. Then from there we can do a little array mesh action. Grab our rotation here. Let's go 360. Our top view. Try to find this. Yeah, use the center here. Up. Center. And move these out. Do a little repeat action. There. Nice. And if I wanted to, I could kind of position. I could use the move brush and kind of make these so they touch. If I wanted to kind of shape this a bit. Then smidge. Something like that. And we've got a nice design for our windows. And you could go crazy with this. You could see kind of shapes you want to get. You could do size variations. You could do all kinds of really cool stuff. If you wanted to use this as a finished object, just go down here, hit make mesh. Now it's an object. If you wanted to, you could dynamesh it and then keep going with it. The dynamesh will get all these guys attached. See, now it's created these points in here. And since I know I did this in an array, I can use my radial symmetry. So we can go to transform activate symmetry on the Y, radial. I think I did, let's see, 1, 2, 6. We'll just check from this direction. We'll click local symmetry, so it's just our object. Let's see, 1, 2, 6. We have 6. Radial count here, drop it to 6. Still doesn't look right. Well, you could do this before we dynameshed it, but so you can actually add variation to each area now if you wanted to. Because these are going to be a little off. I could probably fix that by turning the floor on the deformation, unify. That might fix it. Probably not, because I've already screwed up with the mirroring. One thing you can try, I don't think this is going to work on this, but it might. Do a mirror and well on X, and do a mirror and well on Z, then try it. Yeah, so then our radial symmetry is kind of working again. So you can do crazy stuff with this. Design your heart out. So that is the end of this video. Post any questions that you guys have, and I will see you in class. Thanks.